Ready to unlock your notary potential and boost your income? It's time to move beyond basic notarizations. In Notary, Niche Navigator by Derrick Spruill, learn the most profitable specialized services. Learn to master high-demand areas like loan signings, international apostilles, and I-9 employment verifications. This essential guide offers new ideas to help you become the go-to expert in your field. Grab your copy of Notary, Niche Navigator by Derrick Spruill today and start building your empire.
Welcome to Notary Knowledge, and today we are talking about reputation rescue, mastering the art of the negative review.
Right, because if you are a business owner or a professional in any field, really, you need this.
Oh, absolutely. We are speaking from an experienced, high-level perspective here because, well, as you probably know from our prior episodes, your professional reputation is everything.
It really is.
So think about this stat. 94% of consumers report that just a single bad review has stopped them from buying from a business.
Just one.
Just one. 94%. If you're listening to this right now and you run a brand or a notary practice, you know that exact feeling.
Oh, the absolute panic.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, you do your job, someone has a bad experience, and they just blast you with a one-star rant online.
And your immediate, visceral instinct is just pure panic. You want to hide it or delete it or just shout back at them.
Right. But here's the crazy part. This changes everything we thought we knew. Behavioral data actually shows that businesses with a realistic blend of positive and negative feedback, they often see up to 13% higher revenue than those sitting on just perfect, pristine 5-star scores.
Wait, 13% higher?
Yeah. It's wild. It turns out that how you respond to failure is actually more profitable than never failing at all.
Which is such a counterintuitive reality for the digital economy, right? I mean, we are looking at a really massive stack of research today to figure out why this happens.
Exactly.
We pulled customer experience white papers from Bird Eye and Bazaar Voice. We also adapted conflict resolution frameworks directly from the FBI.
Which is my favorite part, by the way.
It's so good. And we're crossing all of that with strict regulatory compliance guidelines, for healthcare, legal, and financial sectors.
So our mission today is really to transform how you, the listener, view public criticism. We want to give you the exact frameworks and the legal guardrails to turn a one-star review into a driver of long-term loyalty.
Right, because you have to think about it like a broken bone.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Yeah, there's this principle, Wolff's Law in anatomy. It says that when a bone breaks, if you set the fracture correctly, the body deposits a denser calcium matrix right at the site of the break.
So it actually heals stronger than it was before the trauma.
Exactly. And we're applying that exact physiological principle to your public reputation today. You can take a devastating review and set the fracture so perfectly that it creates an unshakable customer loyalty.
I love that. But to understand how to set that fracture, we have to talk about why modern buyers are actually looking for the break in the first place.
Right, the 13% higher revenue thing?
Yeah, because 87% of consumers read online reviews, but a staggering 96% of those people also read the business's responses.
96%. So the response is not just a private dialogue.
No, not at all. It's a public performance. And even crazier, 82% of customers specifically search for negative reviews before they even consider buying.
Wait, they actively bypass the glowing 5-star ones?
They hunt for the one-star comments.
Yeah.
Which, feels completely backward. If I'm shopping for a new notary stamp, why would I seek out the review saying the stamp is terrible?
Well, it's risk mitigation, right? It's the negativity bias. We've been conditioned to know that marketing just shows the best version of a product. We don't trust the glossy brochure anymore.
Oh, for sure.
We want the worst case scenario. When you look at the one-star reviews, you're basically asking, if everything goes wrong, how is this company going to treat me when I complain?
So you're evaluating their character in a crisis.
Exactly. And that's why a perfect 5-star rating actually triggers skepticism now. People assume it's fake or that you're just deleting bad feedback.
Which signals a lack of transparency.
Right. Consumers crave authenticity. They want minor imperfections as long as they are handled well.
And that brings us to this core concept in the research. It's called the Service Recovery Paradox, or the SRP.
Oh, I mean, the mechanics of this are just fascinating.
Right. It was coined in 1992 by researchers Haradwaj and McCullough. The paradox basically says that a customer develops a significantly higher opinion of an organization after a failure is fixed really well compared to if the failure had never even occurred.
Which completely defies basic logic. You mess up, you fix it, and they love you more than if you had just been perfect from the start.
Exactly. How does the psychology of that even work?
So it relies on this neurobiological shift. It's a psychological reversal of expectations. Think about your baseline expectation when you have a problem with a company.
I expect to be on hold for 45 minutes and then argue with a chatbot.
Right. And eventually get a defensive manager.
Yeah, exactly. I'm already stressed out before you even pick up the phone.
You're flooded with cortisol, right? You're ready for battle. So when you bring your complaint to a business, and instead of apathy, they give you extreme proactive empathy and a fast resolution, it shatters your negative expectation.
Oh, well. So my brain is expecting a fight, gets a hug instead, and doesn't know what to do.
Right. And it replaces that cortisol with a massive rush of dopamine. That emotional delta, the distance between the fight you expected and the care you received, builds a level of trust that a normal transaction just can't generate.
I mean, let's put this into a real-world scenario from the Bird Eye white paper. There's this case study about a customer named Andy. She goes to this Mexican restaurant in Dallas.
A regular customer, right?
Yeah, total brand advocate. She brings a big group of friends to show it off, and the service just catastrophically breaks down.
Huh?
They get chips and salsa and then are completely ignored for an hour.
Oh, that is the ultimate nightmare.
Total nightmare. They eventually just leave, completely humiliated. Andy is furious, so she sends a blistering email to the general manager. And based on our baseline, she expects to be ignored or given some excuse about being short-staffed.
Which would just permanently cost them a customer.
But the GM doesn't do that. He responds immediately. Highly personalized, deeply empathetic. No excuses. He takes total ownership, validates her embarrassment, and invites her back for VIP treatment.
He bypassed her defensive shields entirely.
And she goes back. She gets treated like royalty, and she becomes an even more vocal brand advocate than before. The recovery cemented her loyalty.
That is the SRP perfectly executed. Logistical recovery plus emotional validation.
But wait, hold on. If recovering from a mistake makes them more loyal, shouldn't businesses just intentionally create minor failures?
Like manufacture the break so you can fix it.
Yeah. Like intentionally forget the extra fries in an order just so you can swoop in, apologize, give a discount, and manufacture that dopamine hit.
Mathematically, I see why you'd think that, but practically, it's a disaster. First, it's highly unethical.
Fair point.
But logistically, you can't control the external variables. What if that customer just lost their job, their car broke down, and those missing fries are the final straw?
Oh, right. They just have a total meltdown online.
Exactly. You can't control their emotional volatility, so we aren't engineering the brakes. Human error is already a statistical certainty.
Right. Glitches happen.
We just have to build an airtight recovery mechanism. And there's another layer here, the silent majority. When you execute a recovery online, you aren't just winning back Andy.
You're performing for the bystanders.
Sociologists call it interactional justice. That 96% of people reading the responses, they never comment, but they are obsessively watching how you handle conflict.
So the SRP broadcasts your integrity to the whole stadium.
It is the most powerful marketing you can buy, and it only costs the price of a resolved complaint.
Okay, before we dive into the exact FBI tactics for how to actually handle these furious reviewers, we need to take a quick commercial break.
That sounds good.
But while we have a second, we want to encourage all of you listeners to really invest in your professional growth. Be sure to buy the Notary Knowledge books by Derrick Spruill.
Yes, they're absolutely essential.
And visit the Notary Knowledge website. You should also check out our video podcast, No Notary with Eddie Montes Travis, and you can catch Marylyn's 90 Seconds of Notary.
Tons of great resources there.
Okay, we are back. So, we know why we have to respond. Now, how do we do it? How do you de-escalate someone typing in all caps on Yelp?
This is where we adapt crisis negotiation tactics from the FBI.
Which sounds a little intense for customer service.
It sounds hyperbolic, sure, but the neurobiology of an angry customer and a hostage taker in a standoff are remarkably similar. In both, the amygdala, the brain's threat response center, is completely hijacked.
Wow. So our sources bring in former FBI negotiator Chris Voss and the behavioral change stairway model.
The BCSM.
Right. It's 5 sequential steps: active listening, empathy, rapport, influence, and behavioral change. And the golden rule is you cannot skip a step.
Which is where 99% of businesses fail. Someone complains about a late delivery ruining a birthday, and the business immediately replies, "Sorry for the delay. Here's a 20% discount."
They jump straight to step 4, influence.
Exactly. They skipped listening and empathy, so the customer feels bought off and trivialized. The discount actually makes them angrier.
So step 1 is active listening, which means stripping away the all caps and insults to find the actual logistical grievance.
Yes. And then step 2 is empathy. But Voss makes a critical distinction. Tactical empathy versus normal sympathy.
Tactical empathy. I like that phrase.
It's a calculated tool. It does not mean you agree with them. It doesn't mean you admit fault. It just means you demonstrate that you deeply understand their perspective in that moment.
Even if their reality is totally unreasonable.
Exactly. You map their reality.
And the mechanism for this is effect labeling. This honestly blew my mind. Explicitly naming the customer's emotion in writing actually physically downregulates their brain activity.
It's hard neuroscience. fMRI scans show that when someone is enraged, their amygdala is glowing red hot. But the moment you explicitly label the emotion, the amygdala's activity drops by up to 50%.
It is incredible.
The brain shifts processing power to the prefrontal cortex, which handles logical problem solving.
So instead of saying, "I understand your order was late," you say, "It sounds like you felt incredibly frustrated and let down by this delay."
Right. You put a name to the pain, you validate their internal experience, and their brain literally calms down. They go from enemy to collaborator.
But doing that in a Yelp comment,
Yeah.
I mean, if I just write, "It sounds like you are angry," that can sound super patronizing, like an AI therapist.
It's a risk. That's why you have to combine factual paraphrasing with emotional reflection. Factual is the logistics. I see your delivery was delayed 3 days. Emotional is the stress. I can imagine how stressful that was.
No, I see. You weave them together.
You have to. When you marry the facts with the emotional validation, the response feels human and competent.
Okay, here's another FBI tactic that sounds terrifying to use in business. The accusation audit.
Ah, yes.
The idea is that you proactively list all the negative assumptions the other party has about you to disarm them. It's like Eminem in the final rap battle in 8 Mile.
Such a great example.
He lists all his own flaws first, totally exhausting his opponent's ammunition. By the time he hands the mic over, the other guy has nothing to say.
He's fundamentally disarmed.
Right. So how does that work in an email?
You might open by saying, "You probably feel like we prioritize profits over people and that we treated you like just an invoice number." You say the quiet part out loud.
Which steals their thunder.
Exactly. You display shocking accountability to the bystanders. It's a massive pattern interrupt.
Which leads right into non-complimentary behavior. Flipping the script.
Human biology is complementary. Someone yells, you instinctively yell back to protect your tribe.
Right. Our core instinct is to get defensive.
But non-complimentary behavior means responding to unhinged rage with extreme warmth and absolute professionalism. It creates a fracture of focus in their mind.
It violates the script they were expecting so badly that they have to pause and reevaluate their anger.
It's disorienting in the best way. And once you do that, you move to influence using calibrated questions. How and what questions?
Like, how am I supposed to do that? Instead of just arguing.
Right. If they demand an impossible refund, asking, "How am I supposed to process a return on a custom product?" forces them to adopt your constraints. It triggers slow, deep thinking.
Okay, but these FBI tactics are high level. Realistically, we are training everyday frontline staff. They need frameworks, like the Sarah process.
Shock, anger, resentment, acceptance, and help. Most bad reviews happen in the anger or resentment phase.
So if an agent jumps to help too early, it fails.
Exactly. The client wants emotional validation first. That's where the EAPS model comes in. Listen, empathize, ask, paraphrase, summarize.
And the hidden gem in LEPS is the but versus and rule.
Such a microscopic shift, but massive leverage. The word but acts as an eraser. I hear you're frustrated, but our policy says...
The customer only hears the policy. It's the classic non-apology.
Right. You have to suppress but and use and. I hear you're frustrated, and I want to look at our policy to see how we can help. It maintains collaborative momentum.
Then there's the herd method. Here, empathize, apologize, resolve, diagnose. The apology step has to be a categorical apology.
Absolute and unconditional. No redirecting blame. You just say, "I am profoundly sorry we ruined your evening." Period.
But let's look at that final step, diagnose. Why is diagnosing a public-facing step? Do customers really care if we fix our internal systems? Or do they just want their money back?
Oh, the data says communicating the diagnosis is the most vital step for long-term reputation. If you tell a reviewer how their feedback led to a permanent change, like a new training protocol, their loyalty skyrockets.
Because you made them a valued consultant, not just a complainer.
Yes. And the silent majority sees a highly adaptable brand that actually cares about getting better.
Okay, so we've got the psychology. Now we need the architecture of digital web care. Because when and where you respond matters just as much.
Temporal efficiency is critical. 53% of consumers expect a response within a week. 21% expect it within 24 hours.
If you wait a month, the narrative just festers.
And speed prevents multi-platform escalation. You contain the fire to one room.
But how do businesses manage the volume? There's this Springer study on managerial responses that's fascinating.
Right. MRP for positive, MRN for negative.
They found that you should use rote standardized replies for positive reviews. Thanks. See you next time. Save your resources. But reserve highly tailored, customized responses for the extreme negative reviews.
Optimize the good, meticulously handcraft the bad. And there's also the length of the response. An MDPI study showed an inverted U curve.
Yeah, if it's too short, it's dismissive. But if it's too long...
It sounds hyper-defensive, like a lawyer arguing a thesis. Concise responses with an empathic voice perform way better.
Which brings up channel switching. You cannot resolve a complex dispute in a public comment thread. You just can't.
It's impossible.
Think of a bouncer at a nightclub. They don't fight the rowdy patron on the dance floor. They quietly guide them out a side door to talk privately. Providing an email or phone number protects the brand from public escalation.
But there is a massive trap here. If you move it offline instantly, the bystanders assume you swept it under the rug.
Right. It looks like a corporate black hole.
So you have to publicly state the intended fair action before you give the contact info.
Like, we are profoundly sorry. We want to make this right by issuing a full replacement and a refund. Please email me directly.
Exactly. You leave a permanent record of your extreme fairness. Even if they never email you, the public sees you offered a generous fix.
Okay, so we have this beautiful, open, transparent strategy. But what if doing everything we just talked about is a federal crime?
Welcome to the high-stakes minefields of compliance.
Right. If you are in a regulated industry, these standard tactics can result in massive fines or loss of your license. Let's start with healthcare and IPI.
Oh, iPay is terrifying for medical professionals online.
Providers cannot disclose protected health information. But the crazy part is, even confirming the reviewer as a patient is a direct IPI violation.
Even if the patient posts all their own medical details and their real name?
Yes. If a doctor replies, sorry, your knee surgery went poorly, they just verified that person is a patient. That's a violation. There was a California dentist who paid a $23,000 settlement just for engaging with complaints on Yelp.
So the only legally compliant protocol is a generic, sterile response. We value feedback. Federal law prevents us from discussing details. Call our office.
It violates all our empathy rules, but keeps them out of federal court. What about legal services? The American Bar Association guidelines.
It's a massive minefield of client confidentiality, specifically Rule 1.6.
The sources mention ABA Formal Opinion 496. It basically says a bad online review doesn't count as a formal controversy, so lawyers don't get a self-defense exception.
So if a client goes on Google and blatantly lies, says the lawyer stole money or was drunk, the lawyer is legally gagged. They can't post core records proving it's a lie.
Which is like fighting with both hands tied behind your back.
But here's the counterintuitive psychology. The professional gag order is actually armor. When a lawyer or doctor responds to an unhinged rant with strict adherence to their ethical boundaries, it signals supreme integrity to the silent majority.
Because they refuse to get in the mud.
Exactly. The bystander thinks, wow, they take their ethics so seriously, they'll take a public beating rather than violate trust.
And we see this in financial services, too, with the SEC marketing rule. If an advisor replies to a review, they risk entanglement and turn the platform into regulated advertising.
So compliance officers usually tell them never to reply or only use pre-approved generic statements.
And across general commerce, the FTC prohibits suppressing bad reviews or offering incentives, like a $50 gift card, to take down a one-star review.
That's an unfair trade practice. Over 50 grand in penalties per violation.
It's serious stuff.
It really is. Now, before we wrap up, we want to dive into our listener segment.
Ah, yes. Good question. What would you do? We've got a few rapid-fire scenarios sent in from notaries across the country. I'll read the scenario, and Eddie, you give us the quick high-level perspective.
Let's do it.
All right, first up, Whitney from Wisconsin. She asks about a client requesting her to provide a witness for a document execution. What would you do?
Well, Whitney, while some states allow it, generally, providing your own witness introduces a conflict of interest. I'd advise the client they need to supply their own impartial witness to keep everything completely above board.
Right. Okay, next is Connie from Connecticut. She's got a document with no room for a notary stamp and asks about attaching a loose certificate.
Connie, always verify with the receiving agency first if they accept loose certificates, but if you must use one, make sure to explicitly detail the attached document's name, date, and page count on the certificate itself so it can't be fraudulently attached to something else.
Great advice. Tyler from Tennessee wants to know the best protocol for identifying a trustee when notarizing trust documents.
Tyler, standard ID protocols apply for the individual, but you are not verifying their legal status as a trustee. You are only verifying the identity of the person signing. The document itself makes the claim of their capacity.
Perfect. Mary from Maryland is asking if she can accept a military CAC, a common access card, as a primary form of ID.
Mary, military IDs are generally acceptable, but remember that federal law prohibits photocopying military IDs. You can inspect it and log it in your journal, but do not make a copy.
Very important distinction. Finally, Emily from South Carolina wants to know if she should still be using an embosser seal in addition to her ink stamp.
Emily, while an embosser looks highly professional and adds a nice touch of tradition, South Carolina law requires a photographically reproducible seal. So if you use an embosser, you must use it in conjunction with your ink stamp to ensure it's fully compliant.
Awesome. Great questions, everyone. All right, let's synthesize today's journey. We started with the terror of a one-star review and realized that through the service recovery paradox, resolving a failure can actually create deeper loyalty than a flawless transaction.
We learned to borrow FBI crisis tactics, affect labeling to downregulate the amygdala, accusation audits to disarm critics, and calibrated questions.
We structured those into frameworks like HERD and LEAPS, replacing but with and offering a categorical apology.
We mastered the architecture of web care, optimizing the rote responses, tailoring the negative ones, and perfectly executing the channel switch to move disputes offline.
And finally, we navigated the minefields of HIPAA, the ABA, and the SEC. Sometimes a strict gag order is your greatest display of integrity.
It really is a fundamental paradigm shift. A negative review isn't a crisis, it's an opportunity.
Which leaves me with a final provocative thought. If the service recovery paradox is biologically true, if recovering from a failure builds stronger loyalty, will the most innovative brands of the future intentionally design friction points into their customer journeys?
I mean, designing intentional friction is a wild concept.
I'm not talking about maliciously breaking the bone, but creating moments that inherently require human intervention, surprising them with overwhelming, unexpected care. Could the future of brand loyalty be built on curated moments of vulnerability and human recovery, instead of just frictionless AI automation?
It completely challenges the modern philosophy that frictionless is always better. Maybe a little friction, resolved with immense empathy, is the ultimate competitive advantage.
Something to seriously think about. So the next time you see that inevitable one-star review, do not panic. Step confidently onto the behavioral change stairway, flip the script, and recover brilliantly.
That's right.
Email your questions to Derrick at derrickspruill.com. We will try to answer as soon as possible at the end of our shows.
Today's episode was brought to you by our amazing team. Executive producer Derrick Spruill, lead writer Marylyn Trotter, graphics by Eddie Montes Travis, music by Thomas Bynum, and produced by Magnificent Workz Business Solutions.
Don't just be listeners of the knowledge, be doers of the knowledge. This is Notary Knowledge. Until next time.
To obtain more notary knowledge, explore the full collection of books by Derrick Spruill and find the perfect book for your notary business. Visit any online bookstore, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble Bookstore, booksofmillion.com, bookshop.org, Mobile Notary by DerrickSpruill.com, or download from Kindle to obtain your essential notary book to help with all your notarization starting today.